and welcome back to the Sardinian coastline, and welcome back to Golfo Aranci for the final race of the 2025 World Aquatics Open Water World Cup. I'm Will Rollo, joined once again by the voice of the World Cup Series this year, Alice Deering. As you see, the weather here absolutely fantastic, and we get set for the women's 3 kilometer knockout sprint, the last splash of the season, and is absolutely stacked with quality. Italy's Ginevra Tadeucci comes in off her 10K triumph in the overall World Cup crown, while Australia's Moesha Johnson looks to bounce back, and a host of other athletes looking to make it through to the final. Alice, Tadeucci's been untouchable this weekend. What's the key to backing up after that 10K win, and who do you think's best placed to spoil the party here in Golfo Aranci?
Hey, yeah, we have so many incredible athletes to be looking towards for this race. But yeah, Tadeucci with her amazing win yesterday and then backing it up with a really strong, solid swim in the relay. And, she knows what it's like to get on the podium for these races. We have seen her medal second at the World Champs in this event. So we are expecting a lot from her. But I think Moesha Johnson will have a lot to say for that. She came third at Worlds, just behind Tadeucci, in what was quite a spicy finish for her, and would have been a disappointment yesterday with the way in which the race turned out for her. So I think off of the back of having a more restful morning, but Australia, we didn't see them in the relay, so she'll have an amazing opportunity to maybe put a dampener on Tadeucci's weekend here.
We know that Tadeucci's been a fan favourite along the Sardinian coastline here in Golfo Aranci. We've seen her race strongly over the last couple of years. Equally so, Alice, we saw 8 Italian men swim in the semi-final, 8 out of 20 that was. The Italians have another strong contingent across both heats here, and we expect to see them fit and firing into the semi-final.
Yes, definitely. We've got Giulia Gabrieleschi of Italy within that as well, who finished 9th in Ibiza. So she knows what it's like to be in these finals and semi-finals for this 3K knockout, and taking the energy from what the men put down in their heats with Marcello of Italy. It's one of those things where you can just keep hopefully capitalizing on that energy and take those examples. And we're just seeing Coach Byrne on the screen at the moment. Moesha Johnson, his swimmer in this women's 3K knockout, will be looking to do something special, as we've just mentioned.
We get to meet the athletes very shortly. Once again, Heat 2 will be introduced first. They'll go into the holding pen ahead of the Heat 1 introductions. Heat 1 will then start the race. There'll be a 3-minute gap to the start of Heat 2 as those athletes make their way onto the starting pontoon. They'll race around the first course, 1,500 meters, the top 10 from each top 10 from each heat, making it through to the semi-final. 10 minutes from the end of Heat 2 will be the start of semi-final 1, and then the top 10 from the top 10 from the semi-final will in fact be representing in the final. So here we go, Alice. Let's meet our athletes in Heat 2, and what a way to start. None other than Australia's Moesha Johnson. She has had an immaculate 2025 and looking to finish it in fantastic final form.
Yes, yeah, it was so good to see her out at the World Championships, taking home her first ever World Champion title in both the 5 and the 10K. So, she had a fantastic showing there, and would really love to see her close out her 2025 with something really special here.
Here is Inez Delacroix, Lizanne Sabril to come out next for Brazil. Brazilians have been on fire. One of the comments that we want to just discuss a little bit more here, Alice, is a lot of these athletes raced at the World Championships, just over a couple of months ago now, and I guess there's an emotional toll of preparing and racing for those sort of events, which Tadeucci has bounced back from quite well, but potentially a bit of emotional hangover for Johnson.
Yes, yeah, you're so right. It's tough. It's really hard. You put in hard meters in training. It's emotionally draining. It's mentally draining, and um, it's not always going to work out in your favor like that. You know, Johnson has had a stellar year, essentially unbeaten for 12 months in this event at this level, and yesterday might just didn't go quite her way. We didn't see that repetition of that for whatever reason, and I'm really hoping she can bounce back here. I know that she's clearly a tenacious, strong-willed athlete, and it would be really great to see her take that bounce back. And but she's got Taraducci, Ginevra Taraducci, one of the most fantastic athletes that we have on the course at the moment as well. So there's a lot wrapped up within that. And then, of course, not to forget Leah Boy, first in Ibiza, third in Setubal, and fifth at Worlds. There's a lot of other names, a lot of other competitors here who are going to have something to say for about the Marisha and Taraducci show.
One of those, Alice, being on the screen there, Claudia Tasowicz of Poland. She had a fantastic swim yesterday in the 10 kilometers and really cementing her name as one to watch in the future.
You are certainly right. You know, she's really been up and coming over the past couple months, having a great showing at the Len Cup just a few weeks ago, getting first in that Len Cup in Croatia. So I'm really excited to see what she can do. And getting on the podium yesterday in second place, really, really exciting. She's had a massive breakout season. So I know she's going to be putting all of her guns firing for this race.
Let's meet Heat 1 now. Heat 2 all on the starting pontoon. You can see Lisa Poo standing alongside Ginevra Tadauchi as well as Victoria Santoni. But Heat 1 starting to be introduced. Mancini of Italy, the first out. Romoldi comes out second. Candela Sanchez of Spain, part of the really strong Spanish women's stables, out third. Celine Rita as well. It's always a good question to ask. We often discuss it in the men's race, but Alice, it'd be interesting to see a non-mixed gender, just one gender race relay, and I think the Spaniards would be quite prominent in that race.
I think so. You know, that's such a good question to ask. Like, which country has like four amazing athletes in the open water in 1500 that can really like make some statements and challenge? I think Italy, of course, is one of them. France also being one of them on both genders. But yeah, Spain, as you said, the Spanish women have consistently put out some really strong and competitive athletes. I know Spanish nationals is often like a hot place to go and get some really good racing in when it does roll around. And as we saw in Ibiza, having their nationals tied up with that competition as well indicates the intent that Spain is putting into this event, and it is showing. It is absolutely showing in the World Cups and at the World Championship level.
And I'm sure that is still to come for years ahead. Of course, the World Cup schedule yet to be announced for next year, Alice, but I know that swim fans around the world will be eagerly watching along. Of course, all we can do is encourage you to keep your eyes on World Aquatic platforms, including, of course, their website. But as we get ready to dive in for the final time here in Golfo Aranci, are there any stops that you really want to see on the calendar next year?
Oh, I mean, Setubal, please, as always, that needs to be on there. And I think Golfo Aranci and Ibiza this year have been really special. I know Ibiza was one that the athletes were very much looking forward to. Ibiza is renowned around the world for its energy, its vibrancy. It's also got very good food. So I know that was a special one for the athletes. But the thing with open water, well, we are so spoilt with these amazing places we go to. Soma Bay, kicking us off at the start of the season, it's always really special and beautiful too. So I think the fact that we are so blessed with our sport being outdoors, being able to view scenes like this that you're seeing on your screen now, and celebrate and have such amazing competition is always so special.
Yeah, and we hope that we're, of course, back here in Golfo Aranci. It has been such fruitful hunting grounds for spectators as we get to watch some incredible races, and I know potentially even some new stops coming back into the mix, hopefully, as well. We love seeing the athletes racing, and of course, no World Championships next year, no Olympic Games, the first of the years since I think back before COVID that we will have no exceptional circumstances to race in. But for now, we'll take a minute to acknowledge the race that is ahead of us as we meet once more heat number 1. There's some big names in here. Leah Boy has been sensational since the introduction of the knockout. She sort of sits here as a bit of a favorite in heat 1, but that being said, it won't go her own way. She likes to sit back early on, so it'll be interesting to see exactly who leads out as we're about to move now into the hands of the starters. A reminder once again, 1500 meters the distance of lap 1, and we are ready to race here in Golfo Aranci, and in fact underway. 1500 meters of swimming, heat 1 in the water, heat 2 still to come, and an absolute line across the field as they dive in. Alice, this is as good as a start you will ever see.
Yes, definitely. I just want to touch on that point about Leah Boy. We are not expecting to see her at the front. Maybe she will be, maybe she'll try a different tactic, but she's very smart with her selection of where she wants to sit, wants to kind of take it easy, take those opportunities to allow the race to progress, and then starts to inject her speed into the 500. But I mean, at the moment, everybody wants this first place position.
Yeah, we saw in the men's race just how important it is to hold, I guess, the lead of the race, how much easier the back end of the 1500 meters can be. And we talked, I guess, specifically about the difference between the emotional and mental toll of sitting further back versus the physical toll of sitting further back. But I mean, at this stage, it's very hard just to ignore exactly where these athletes are swimming. This is incredible scenes here in Golfo Aranci. We knew that the venue had the opportunity to deliver something like this, but the men's 10K didn't show it. But I'm so glad it's out in full force. These crystal Mediterranean waters really showing what this sport can provide, Alice.
Yes, you're so right. You know, I feel like it's progressively, the suns came out, you know, obviously had like basically a thunderstorm during the men's race, progressed, got a bit better for the women's, and now today it really has put on a show for us with these stunning waters. I'm sure the athletes feel very lucky and very fortunate to be able to race in them. And I think at the moment we might have Brooke Travis of America leading us out.
Yeah, there it is. Brooke Travis leads the way for the USA. And Alice, you know, often we take the water quality somewhat for granted, but sometimes as well, these clear waters can be advantageous for the athletes. It makes it much easier to see exactly where you're sitting, not only in the pack, but also on the conditions of the race. We'll get into that in a second, meeting heat 2 here. As we said, Johnson, Delacroix, Pooh in there, Sontoni, Sobral, of course, Gabrielski, Pozobon, Tarsovitz, and of course Ginevra Tadauchi we saw on the page before, Luna Casfio as well. So some big names racing from heat 2. Only 10 will make it through to the final. They're ready to go in the second as they move into the hands of the starters. We're back with heat 1 swimming through this lap of 1500 meters. We get ready in about 5 seconds to start here. So heat 2 almost in the water. The final race on the women's program for 2025 here in Golfo Aranci. It is a fantastic scene, and they're underway in heat 2. We'll watch how this one plays out. A good start in the middle of the pack. No real surprises there. Quite safely off the line. But as I was saying, Alice, these clear waters not only aesthetically beautiful, but also can be advantageous for swimmers knowing exactly where they sit in the pack.
You are so right. It's one of those things you don't really think about when you're swimming, but it's when you get waters like this, you can actually realize, oh wow, I can see the person in front of me, I can see the person next to me. It's almost like a pool. You get that opportunity. It's not just suddenly like, you know, potentially some murky water that you're having to contend with. It allows you to really start to plan out where you are and get some really good information that's sometimes not available to you in other waters around the world. So, you know, the best swimmers will be able to utilize that, and we might not always get that feedback from them, unfortunately, but it will be happening. That will be the information that they are taking and utilizing to make their race and make their strategies better.
And of course, they'll get to hear those strategies straight from the coaches as well at the end of this lap. So out in front, we can see there that is Heat 2 turning through the first turn, first in the water, Inez Delacroix, fresh off a gold medal in the 4x1500 relay, sitting behind Moesha Johnson and Claudia Tasowitz as well for Poland. What a meet she's having, Alice. Like, she's been thereabouts this season, but this is really putting her name forward.
Yeah, you're so right. It's a name that we've been talking about all season. She's definitely like been popping up, like getting into those like top 10 places. And I kept pointing it out. I kept being like, oh, it's really great to see a Polish athlete. I honestly didn't expect I honestly didn't expect it to translate this quickly. If I'm being honest, I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe in like 1 or 2 years' time, she'll be on the podium and we'll be like, oh wow, this is amazing. The speed at which she's been able to understand what she needs to do, how she needs to do it, and then also go and actually execute it is so special. It's been fantastic to watch, and I'd like more power to her. I'm really hoping she continues this and gains some confidence and keeps growing because it's fantastic to see, as I always say, a diverse group of nations punching for those medals.
Well, she was 21st, no, 25th, sorry, in the women's 5Ks in Singapore, 18th in the 10, 14th in the 3 kilometer knockout. So clearly favouring this event as she sits very far forward. But I mean, she came off the champion in Croatia at the European leg 5 of the Open Water Cup that they run. So clearly, almost using Singapore as an opportunity to boost her career and putting herself in good standings as she sits third or second in a line with Moesha Johnson sitting in behind Delacroix that leads the race. Behind them, you can see Lisa Poo in the Monaco black cap. I'm sure Ginevra Tadauchi will be thereabouts as well. But this, of course, is Heat 2, swimming in a very refined way that we usually see the women's race. Just something to note as well as this race sort of develops here, Alice. We can see a bit of a side wind coming down this straight, which may play an impact, especially on the final straight of the final lap.
Yes, yeah, and one of those things, swimming into the wind and all the challenges that come with that of like choppier water. I think this is the roughest, not that it's rough, but this is the waviest that we've seen in the water this weekend. It doesn't look like much on the screen, but you can see a lot of the swimmers having to lift quite a bit higher than what we have noticed throughout the other races. And I think this is quite typical with four C swims and for bay swims like this. The wind will pick up towards the end of the afternoon and can be quite challenging. But this is where the open water skills come in. This is where, whilst it is a 1500, a 1K, and a 500, your open water skills and your open water endurance and experience is so key to managing that. And we're just moving back to Heat 1. And I think this is still Brooke Travis of America leading it out, and she's looking good here.
Yeah, she is very strong in her stroke, very confident in her ability to just sit at the front of the race and control the speed. We saw it happen in the 10K, and it's happening once again. Brooke Travis, it's I mean, I don't know how to break it down really, Alice, but you mentioned a number of times that often when you've been in hard races, you come out of the water and you say who was leading that race. It might be a USA swimmer, it might be an Australian swimmer. It's weird because those two federations historically haven't really raced the World Cups as often as we see some of the stronger European nations, but yet Brooke Travis just looks so natural out in front.
Yeah, you're so right. That's a really good point. They were always nations that weren't typically at the World Cup. So, speaking about Australia and America, and it was always Australian Americans that I got out, and I was like, so what was the first going on in those first two lap, guys? And it was like, oh, it's American Australians. And I honestly think it's that willingness to get in and just make things happen, make it work, take the opportunity that, yeah, I'm at a World Cup. I'm not going to sit back. I'm not going to let this race go by. I'm going to take this in my own hands. And I have always loved and respected that tenacity and that confidence that you're willing to put yourself in these positions because it's not an easy position to lead. I was asked recently, what is the benefit of leading? There's a lot of benefits to it, but gosh, is it hard. It's really difficult. It's challenging. You have to make sure everything's right. And in a race like the 3K knockout, it's it's even harder because there's a lot of pressure riding on you. You might get to the 500 and not have enough energy, and then potentially be in your mind of, oh, I wish I hadn't have pushed it so hard in the 1500 and the 1K. So you really have to be confident and trust in your tactics in every stage of this race. You do not have time to be battling yourself and telling yourself, oh, I wish I'd knocked it off a little bit earlier, because you can't change anything at that point.
And for Brooke Travis, she was 17th back in Ibiza. She made it through the heats comfortably, but fell in the semi-final. Ultimately, learning from that experience here, not wanting to leave anything to chance. She was fifth in Heat 1 in Ibiza. So to back up here and just say, I'm not going to leave this to chance. I don't want to have to sprint against the best in the world and commit to leading that race early is, I guess, what we've almost been expecting. The evolution of the 10 kilometers is taken, well, at least over 20 years now, as we've seen it divulge from when it was introduced to the Olympics back in 2008. And this is the opportunity ahead for swimmers, but also spectators, to see the way the natural evolution comes in the 3 kilometer knockout. And I guess like Brooke Travis showing that you can learn very quickly if you study the race.
Yeah, you're so right. The evolution of this race, this is only our fourth one at the senior stage. It's going to keep evolving, it's going to keep changing. And I think this is where athletes need to be willing to try something new, try something different, put yourself in a position that you might not have been in before. There'll be numerous athletes in Heat 1 and Heat 2 who are doing that we might not get to be able to speak about because, they might finish a bit further back. But that's what the evolution is about. It's about adapting and growing with the sport. The sport keeps moving forward. So if you stay in the same place, you will eventually be falling back from where you are because of the drive and the strength that so many athletes are bringing to it. So, yeah, it's always really fun and exciting to see new tactics applied across the multitude of events that we are blessed with.
And I guess it's almost changed every time both genders have dived in. They've put in different work to really try and see what works, what doesn't work, and sometimes it comes down to exactly where they are in their swimming cycle as well, whether they're rested, whether they're swimming under load. So it's really only going to take time to tell exactly how it develops, and hopefully, Alice, we have the fortune to call those races as they come. But for now, we keep our attention on Heat 1. They're making their way back. You can see on the far side of the course now, they're about to go past that 1,000-meter buoy on the final straight here. You can see just the difference that these laps are. The 500 meters is a significant jump from lap to lap, and the good news is Brooke Travis for the USA is still sitting out front, and it looks like the field is thinning ever so slightly here, Alice.
Yes, yeah, this is where the pace starts to really start to drain some of the athletes who potentially won't make it through. It's tough, it's challenging. The 10K might still be sat in there, the relay might still be sat in there for a lot of these athletes, but it's still looking very dense in the middle, and the competition for the 10th place will still be very hot and challenging.
That's right. We talked about it in the men's race. Often we see in the 3 kilometer knockout, there are some athletes that have to be held back after the race. They're waiting to determine who is exactly in that top 10, which again shows why it's so important to sit at the front of the race to make sure you not only get through comfortably, you could potentially even get out of the water quicker jumping up on that ladder. But as we zoom in here, it is Brooke Travis leading the way. It's hard to pick up exactly who that second swimmer is. Could be a German cap potentially. We'll find out shortly as they make their way down. Italian cap definitely sitting in third. So there are some big names in Heat 1. There are, of course, some potential upsets looming large. We saw the Olympic champion get knocked out of the heats in the men's race, where Krzysztof Rojowski missing the final, or the semi-final even. And we saw Gregorio Paltrinieri miss out in Ibiza as well. So you have to be on no matter who you are. The resume does not mean anything in the 3 kilometer knockout. And I wonder if the athletes would have taken some learnings from those races. But Alice, you can achieve whatever you want before the race, but ultimately the race is to decide who has it on the day.
Yes, yeah, you're so right. It's you have to get in and race. You have to get in and do it. Like you can say everything that you want about, like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, but still the races move on. The world moves on. There's another world champs. There's another Olympics coming, and to stay competitive in that sport, you do have to keep driving forward. I was going to say, yeah, great call. Well, it was a German swimmer, Leah Boy, and this is what I mean. This is what I was talking about. Of like, it's great to see Leah Boy trying something different. This is the first time we've seen her up there in the positions at the front. Normally she's like, you can tell that she's kind of counting who's around her to see and just kind of scrape through and just move through steadily and then really come alive in that 500. So it's great to see that from her. And also just want to point out Mariah Denigan is currently sat in fourth position there. Then a Spanish swimmer just behind her and another Italian. So it's shaping up to have quite a good, of course, a good selection of athletes from this first heat.
That's it, and we get the chance now to call through the top 10. Brooke Travis committed from the very first stroke, and another great pickup there, Alice, with Mariah Denigan just popping up with that pink tape on the cap. We really do appreciate the athletes going through the effort. But if we look through this shot, you've got three athletes clearly defined at the front of the race. 4, 5, and 6 all sort of in there as well as swimming strongly. And then you look at the line across. You have, of course, then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 10 only going through to the semi-final. Brooke Travis out in front, looking to secure her spot confidently, but really anyone's race as you go back into that 6th and 7th line of this race. And those are the ones that are really starting to churn water. You can see now with this overhead shot just how much water is being moved. They know they need to get forward. They need to get forward at a rate of knots and need to be able to use those athletes around them, because there's probably 2 or 3 kicks required to get up on top in the top 10. But the lead now is actually even extending here from Brooks Travis. Alice, this is sensational swimming in the first 1500.
Yeah, I don't know if she knows that she's doing this, if you know what I mean. Like, she's really pulling away. She doesn't necessarily need to. I don't think Leah Boy was interested in trying to get past her, or potentially even capable. I don't know how much that they're putting into it at the moment. I think I can see Anna Marcel Cunha on the side there, so it looks like she'll be potentially safe going through. And then Mariah Denigan, I believe that is Mariah Denigan. Yeah, just pulling along the side at the moment. But Leah Boy, for whatever reason, has lost contact with Brooke Chavis. I don't know whether she's going to try and like make up that ground, or is quite happy to settle for second in this heat and know that she's comfortably through. But Brooke Chavis is really storming through. She led from the first stroke and just carried the pack round.
Yeah, she looks incredible out in front. Does Brooks Travis of the USA. She's going to take a lot of confidence out of this result as we sit back here. This is about the mark of 6th, 7th, 8th in line. The Spaniards well represented. We've talked about that prowess, especially on the women's side. They've got Martinez and De Valdez in this race, so they'll be both hoping to make it through. One thing is for certain, though, we've said it almost the entire heat, and it is Brooke Travis out in front and looking to secure a comfortable position in that semi-final. She leads Leah Boy. Those will be the top two, I believe, as they come down now through the finish chute. This, of course, being Heat 1. We keep an eye on the top 10. You can see the World Aquatics team just counting the numbers there. They know they're in a bit of trouble here. There's a lot of athletes competing for that top 10. Top 1, though, goes the way of the USA on the wall. Brooks Travis second, the way for Leah Boy. And then, oh my goodness, I'm not even going to try and guess exactly who came through there. Cesarano, De Valdez, Denigan, another Cesarano in. Cunha makes it through. Ramoldi as well in 8th. Juiz gets through in 9th. They've called Osley in 10th. 7 seconds off the lead. But we'll see exactly how that plays out for the official results as well, Alice. That was incredibly tight.
Yes. Yeah, it was fast, it was quick, it was furious. Very interesting here. Just want to point out, as we were speaking about with the men's, and let's continue this theme, Will. about getting out of the water quickly. Leah Boy straight out of the water. I will say both of the American athletes are still in the water. I think they're having a little conversation with themselves, both Travis and Denigan. So just really interesting on that front. We are moving very quickly to Heat 2, and this is our first glimpse of Heat 2 since they've got in. So please be patient with us whilst we get into this and start to see who's in the lead.
That is right, Alice. We try to pick the athletes the best we can, but it's incredibly difficult. But I'm going to call Moesha Johnson holding the lead here for Australia. Out in front, you can pick that stroke. Very strong, very long, and very good rotation, I guess, through the stroke. So Johnson leads the way for Australia. Heat 1, though, I think I saw some big names missing out on that final. We'll check back that in a second, but I think Angela Martinez might have missed the final. But Alice, you can pick Johnson there leading the way of this spearhead in Heat 2.
Yes, definitely. She looks strong. She looks good. You can see she's not using her legs yet. And Johnson knows how to lead a race. She can lead a race from 10K if she wanted to. She doesn't choose to, but she gets in normally at 6K and the 10K. That's when she starts to turn it on, and they're just winding up into the buoy now. But look at that, the kind of pyramid arc that's coming out there. It's going to be a real fight to get your hands on the pad for the top 10. And as you pointed out, with the officials counting out the 10th place, they're going to have another challenge on their hands here.
That they are. That's why we love the work that they do. You can see on the screen there, you've already got 8 athletes ready to make it through. Who is going to get there? Johnson leads out. Sitting in second, I believe, is still Inez Delacroix. You've got the likes of Pooh in there, Genevera Tadauchi, Paul Otero Fernandez, Luna Caspio, Julia Gabrielski, Barbara Pozobon, Victoria Mihalvari Farkas. You've got so many big names all coming down to finish this Heat 2. Top 10 making it through. Johnson leads the way as they enter the finish chute now. There's a push coming from Delacroix, I believe, on her right side, on the outside of the course. And once again, you can see the World Aquatic staff just counting exactly how many people are going to go through. There is another certainty, though. Johnson books her ticket in the semi-final. She comes down to stop the clock in first position, 18-16. And you see all the touches there across the line. The timing crew are going to have a big task ahead of them, as exactly what we saw. Delacroix put the head down after the finish and sprinted to that ladder. She wants to get out first. Johnson's going to have to wait and see when she lines up in position. But Alice, that was a sensational finish. Delacroix, Otero Fernandez, Pooh, Milihavar Farkas, Gabrielski, Santoni, Tarsowitz, Casvio, and Burton. So I think, unless I'm missing something, we do not have the champion from yesterday's 10 kilometers into the semi-final.
Yeah, that is really surprising, but I suppose that there was a bit of foreshadowing with that earlier on, because when it was Delacroix and Johnson up at the front, and looking further back, I could kind of see Ginevra's stroke, and I was like, oh, okay, this is not where I'm used to seeing Ginevra, and we're used to seeing her up at the front from the jump. That's what she knows. That's what she likes to do. For whatever reason, it wasn't happening. Sorry, just getting confirmation that she didn't race. So, okay. That kind of forgives her for the fact that she wasn't up at the front of the race. But just one thing I do want to point out real quick is the fact that this heat was 16 seconds slower than the first heat. So Moesha Johnson stopped the clock in about 18:16. The first heat was stopped in about 18 minutes. And just really, really interesting whether... I don't think for Johnson and swimmers at the front of it, they'll feel it too much. But for those further back, potentially in Heat 2, dealing with that jump that Heat 1 had, and you know that Brooke Travis is going to try and bring that speed again. She's going to get in and put out a similar effort. That will be a real shock to those swimmers who were kind of scraping through in Heat 2 and suddenly having to swim a second per 100 faster. It stacks up very quickly to be a certain swim and then having to being forced to take it to another level.
Yeah, especially when you have an athlete that then sits at the front, is not afraid of doing the work. Love that from Marcel Schulten there, knowing the boyfriend duties and what's required, just jumping on the umbrella as well, Alice. But yeah, you're so right that that jump is exorbitant, especially when you've been swimming for a long time, and especially if you found the pace hot in the 1500. Remember that these athletes are, going to be approaching 14 and a half kilometers at the end of the 500-meter final. So yes, it's not for the faint heart, this knockout. As we look back at some of the highlights, it has delivered in here in Golfo Aranci so far.
Yes, yeah, it's been really fun. It's been exciting. But here's now where we're getting to, everybody together, all of the names that we're expecting to see punching for those medals, punching for the final. They're all going to be together in the mix. And, who's going to come out on top? There's only 10 places left in the final. And there's a lot of energy and drive to make that happen.
So here we saw Heat 1 enter the water. It was a clinically beautiful start. You can just see the chaos that comes from those starts as they make their way through the first turn. And Alice, it's not easy getting around those cans with momentum.
No, so challenging. It really, really does cause you to, have to make sure everything's going right, especially in a 1500 like this where it's super short. You still have to contend with 4 turns. And, as we move down to that 1K, that 500, you have to keep everything tidy, keep it clean, and get round. We're seeing Heat 2 here, and as some of the swimmers actually dive in a little bit later and take that opportunity to, find some feet, find some bubbles. It's challenging doing that just because you really don't have many meters to play with. In the 10K, I would always say that's a great strategy, find your time, find your space, do what you've got to do. But for a 1500, it's just much more difficult. And believe this being sorry, I was trying to pick out which heat that was, but seeing that led out and like the speed that these athletes are working with, and just coming back to heat 1 again here with Brooke Travis and the amazing effort that she was putting down and causing the field to kind of get really drawn out and have to deal with a hot pace. And there will be some athletes in there that are going to feel that pace for the next 1K and 500 meters to come, tiring them out. Leah Boyd being sat in there, we know she's already very experienced, very well rehearsed in this event, making all 3 finals, having 2 medals so far from these events. So she'll definitely be looking to recreate some of her medal experiences with this race today. But Brooke Travis having a really, really fantastic swim there. We saw her sat down earlier next to Mariah Denigan. They were chatting, they looked happy, they looked comfortable. There's Leah Boyd getting out of the water there. She looked strong and good. She looked really, really good. And this is just the second heat closing out now with Maurice Johnson, who looks quite easy swam at the front there. Like, to be able to lead a heat with a caliber of swimmer like that looking so comfortable, and then you start to look further back and you see how hard the rest of the field are working to get their positions. And it's going to be a really, really exciting semi-final to come. The rest of the swimmers coming through there with Suisse, one of the Spanish swimmers, looking to get out as quickly as possible, as we've been speaking about. And yeah, it's going to be a really good final. I'm not really sure who we can predict to be getting into the final at the moment, but we see the results here from Heat 2 going all the way down. I just really want to shout out Luna Kasavo of Finland, who had a fantastic heat swim there, our junior winner of the circuit for 2025, and she's looking absolutely fantastic. And it's really exciting to see moving through. But Will, looking to Heat 1 and to Heat 2, seeing that Brooke Travis had about an 18-second lead from Heat 1 to Heat 2. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the semi-final as well. As you mentioned, Alice, it is a significant jump in speed between the 2 heats, and only the fastest swimmers are going to be able to make that adaptation. We'll keep an eye as well to see how many swimmers make it from Heat 1 and Heat 2. It's actually something that we haven't necessarily looked at, which heat has been more successful since the introduction of this event. We're really just looking the athletes that have managed to get on the podium a number of times. One of those athletes, of course, Leah Boy, who was so strong in the first two World Cup stops and then missed the podium in Singapore only because that race was absolute chaos down the finish line. I think Leah Boy still looms large as a very heavy podium favorite.
Yes, yes, definitely. And, I think we're just getting confirmation, Will, that the semi-final is going to have 21 swimmers, meaning that they weren't able to split the difference between two of the swimmers across the start line. And I do love that about open water. We have so much space to deal with that. It's kind of like, hey, we've got the opportunity. We'll just put the other swimmer in. There's no point trying to split hairs at this point. Can end up dragging out the day much longer than it needs to for the swimmers. So there will only be 10 spaces in the final. I'm sure we won't have to have another dead heat again, but really exciting that we get to have an extra swimmer in there just for some fun and some excitement.
Yeah, I mean, speak about the emotional roller coaster. That would be, going from thinking that your day's over and then all of a sudden getting prepared for that final 1,000 meter semi final and the opportunity to swim for the gold medal. This is truly a race that tests not only your physical, mental, and emotional well being, but also, I guess, your ability to manage the ups and downs that come from racing in these races, the sort of the enthusiasm that would come into a race like this would be incredible.
Yeah, you're so right. I think this has been met with a lot of enthusiasm from the athletes. It's different, it's new, it's exciting. Ironically, it's like what kind of the closest thing to training that you're ever going to get with racing, just in terms of those back-to-back reps. So in a way, it's more similar to what athletes know of, turning up to training and you've got like a ridiculously hard session where you might actually do something very similar to this, and then getting in and having the opportunity to race it, but then also with everybody else in the open water setting with the tactics and the energy that you need to bring to that, as well as the fact we had the relay earlier and the 10K yesterday. It's really, really great to see, the athletes still happy, still smiling. They're all going through this together and just embracing the moments, especially as it's the last race of the season.
Yeah, that's it. They know that it's all on the line here. Only training sits on the other side of this event. And apologies, what I was
And here, just look at these beautiful shots of Sardinia, of Golfo Aranci. I think it's just absolutely so beautiful that this is the place that we get to close out the season. It's constantly said it's a favourite of the athletes, and I'm sure there'll be some joy, some celebrations, and some fun that will be had tonight. But for now, we are locked into the semi-final of the women's 3K knockout. It's 1,000 meters to swim, and it's going to be hot and it's going to be fast.
That's right, Alice. You know that all the athletes are going to leave it out on the pool, or in the ocean, in fact, not on the pool deck. And that is.
Yeah, that is what we were expecting to see. And don't worry about the pool, Will. I know you've had a lot. You've had a lot of commentary to do. You've got a lot of things to think about. You've been going from pool commentary to open water commentary, and you've been doing it so fantastically. So here's our semi-final. Here's our athletes: Lisa Poo, Leah Boy, Brooke Travis, Marisa Johnson, Maria Di Valdez, all moving through. Claudia Tarshevitz, Anna Marcela Cunha. Fantastic to see her in there. Oh, it'd be so exciting if she could get a medal. Of course, Caroline Joyce, and then a number of Italian athletes. I actually lost count of how many Italian athletes we've got in there. So really, really exciting prospect that we have for the semi-final.
Yeah, sorry to cut out there, Alice. What I was going to say, Clemens.
Getting in on that in that final space. I suppose they weren't able to differentiate between her, but they're away. We see one or two athletes wait again for this kilometer, and it looks like it's going to be fast. is going to be good. I'm not sure who that is on the far side. We'll hopefully get some sight on them soon, but I think that is Clements closest to us, utilizing her speed and getting out there. But there we see one of the American hats, Brooke Travis potentially, or Mariah Denigan, both of them rocking the same cap and tape combo. So we'll hopefully get some more sight on who that is and be able to differentiate who that is. But for the meantime, I think we can see potentially Marisha Johnson taking that out at the front in the Australian cap there. Going to be converging here. It's going to like bunch up, as you can see these two lines, you know, having to kind of close that door and come round. It's going to be difficult for those athletes trapped in the middle, but we see a clean turn from our swimmer out front, and then quite a few swimmers getting around. Then that's where the bunch up is really happening. Look at that. So many athletes losing space, losing ground. And it's opened up a massive, quite a large gap at this stage of a race of space where that's where your energy, you're having to like claw back in front, trying to make up that ground. And I think this might be Delacroix potentially. I can't really see the name on the cap, but definitely one of our French athletes. Apologies, I can't quite pick out the name, but we do have a number of French athletes in this field, and then moving further back, an Italian and a Spanish, really driving forward. So it's looking, and we do have confirmation is in Delacroix of France. I believe she was in the relay that unfortunately got disqualified. So I think she might have been the swimmer that unfortunately didn't swim through the finish gate. So the team was pulled out, looking to right some wrongs. She's having some really good swims here. She looked really strong in Heat 2 alongside Marisha Johnson. And they're moving through now. And I think we can see Leah Boy tucked in there. The USA cap of Brooke Travis in there too. So everybody that we expect up at the front and punching hard. And just keep moving through, and it's looking very good. And Will, what are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen here? You know, we can see Ins Delacroix leading, but I'm kind of expecting Marisha Johnson, as she sat in the middle, to start making some moves in a moment. And yes, they're just as I said that, she started to make her move. She started to, you know, try and find some space, try and get around. It's not a position we're used to seeing Marisha in. We're not used to seeing her in the middle, and I can tell that's not where she wants to be. She's looking to make some moves from the outside, and just above on the top of your screen, you can see Brooke Travis trying to make something happen with a different line, but it is quite challenging. And you know, trying to create that space for yourself is always so difficult. And moving further back, I mean, it's anybody's guess how this is going to look going into that next turn, boy.
Yeah, Alice, you saw just how hectic it was on that turn earlier, so I'm sure they'll be keeping that in mind. You can learn in these points in the races, you know, to speak, I guess, as an athlete yourself, when you had a bad turn, you know that you need to set yourself up better, and you pay specific interest into exactly how that happens, right?
Yes, that's exactly it. So in those moments, you know, you're looking up, and especially when you don't have much room to play with, you know, these are very short straights relatively to an open water race, and you still have your 4 turns, and you really want to make sure that you're getting everything right. And that is where you'll see athletes kind of jumping over each other, moving around each other, trying to make the most of the space and of the time they've got. But Delacroix is really holding this out strong at the moment, and I'm just trying to pick out where Marisha Johnson might have made it. So she's just at the bottom of our screen here, and then Leah Boy at the top. So a real fight. This is going to be a really challenging turn for everybody involved, apart from Delacroix, who seems to have had space of her own in this striving forward.
And Delacroix is mainly an athlete that we don't usually see fighting at the front of the race late on in the piece. So she's clearly having a fantastic day here in Golfo Aranci. You know, raced the French B team relay, and clearly is carrying a lot of that momentum into this 1 kilometers, wanting to make sure she makes it through to that final. We can see some of the Americans in the mix as well. We don't have any of the Japanese, which have been the consistent early leaders from the World Cups earlier this year. So I guess it's a different race to what we've seen, and Golfo Aranci has certainly delivered that in spades, really showing that the fourth and final stop has everything that we'd want from the swim, and we're about to move into another turn here, Alice.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get my facts right before I say it, but I think we just need to say this. Kajimoto, I believe that she is the only woman to be on every single podium, and unfortunately, we do not have her here. Yes, yeah, that is right. Kajimoto finishing first in Setubal, third in Ibiza, I believe, and first at Worlds. Unfortunately, we don't get to celebrate her and see her here, so she's going to kind of lose that title of being on each podium, as we've seen with David Bethlehem and Marc-Antoine Olivier being 4 out of 4. Kajimoto has 3 out of 4, so we don't have her injection of speed, but it's nice to see Ins Delacroix making that speed. And look what happened there around this turn. Look at the chaos that is happening. Honestly, this is where it's so crucial you're making sure you're getting in the right positions, because it can be detrimental to your race. And now having to make up so much ground, and I don't know if you spotted it off of that turn wheel, it kind of like Leah Boy peeled off to the left of our screens and Ins Delacroix to the right. It'll be really interesting to see how that's shaped up, what that's done to the pack, and who has the better line.
Well, you can see now, Alice, Ins Delacroix is back in fourth position. Like, that was a massive move to well, I think honestly just swim offline ultimately, and the experience of Leah Boyd to know exactly in that moment that this is the opportunity to surge forward is exceptional swimming by the German, and she's delivered out the front. And, I think Delacroix would be absolutely punching herself for that mistake.
Yes, thankfully, it looks like it won't be detrimental to the overall result of the race, but it's one of those ones where, yes, it's happened, lock in, concentrate on what you're doing, try and make up for that mistake. Don't lose that momentum, that amazing momentum that you've built up. It looks like she should probably be safe, so I think something quite drastic would have to go wrong for her not to be in the top 10. Of course, there's still more meters to swim. It's open water, anything can happen, but I'm really hoping she doesn't let that get to her too much.
I'm sure she won't, the professional that is Delacroix. So she's in the mix now once again. Moesha Johnson swimming in the third position, currently the Australian cap, but it's a lot of hard work out there today. It looks really difficult for these athletes. In fact, Leah Boyd looks the most comfortable as they go around that turn. You can see once again that pinch point, Alice, the momentum that gets lost. And you can see Luna Casillo, the young Finnish swimmer in that pink cap, really suffering there, moving back a couple of positions and now pinballing around the back of that group. That is tough swimming, and it's beautiful open water racing, really, but it makes it so incredibly difficult for these athletes when they do have to come to a halting stop like that.
Yeah, and I think it just shows like the fact that we have so many athletes of the similar caliber, of such a strong caliber, and the fact that they're all jostling. And you know, if we swam this race again, it would be a very different outcome in terms of the results, because everybody is capable of getting into that top 10, but it's about finding those opportunities in the race and mitigating those issues, and that's where experience comes in. That's why I think Leah Boyd's been able to read it and said, actually, you know what, I don't want to risk being sat at the back and just kind of getting through with the top 10. The race is evolving very quickly, and I want to be part of that evolution, so I'm going to take it into my own hands and get into it. And just getting confirmation that it is Maria de Valdez, our world medalist in the 10K. We know she's good, we know she's strong, and we know she's fast, and it's looking good here. And I believe that might be Lisa Poo of Monaco, sat in third position too. So three such incredible swimmers. You know, Lisa Poo getting that bronze medal in Singapore just a few months ago, and she's been going from strength to strength.
And there is the confirmation that you have stated. It is Lisa Poo of Monaco now sitting confidently in third. Moesha Johnson took a wide line there, and now swimming back across to De Valdez, our Spaniard, in second position behind Leah Boy. Again, Alice, this is not a familiar position that we've seen the German out the front of the knockout. She usually likes to qualify quite far back in the pack. You know, you're talking 8, 9, 10 through to the final, but out the front looking really strong. I've always wondered, though, what the Spanish would bring to the race, and here is Claudia Tarsowitz as well of Poland starting to swim through. So a reminder once again, the top 10 will make it in to that 500-meter final, and it's really anyone's race as we come down the final straight here, Alice.
Yes, definitely, and it's really, really great. You've got Claudia Toshevitz closest to us. Marisha Johnson sat in the middle there, but then also just at the far edge of your screen, kind of the foreshadowing that is Ana Marcela Cunha as well. So it's going to be close. It's going to be tight. I think, we're looking at about currently 7 swimmers on screen, so there's 3 spaces behind, but it's going to be really fierce. But this final that we're being set up for is going to be amazing, Will.
Yeah, it almost feels as if this is the final. The 1,000 meters is well and truly delivered here, and we can thank some fast swimming, some fast turns, and some hard decisions to be made for that to happen. You can see once again just swimmers darting all over the place. There's 2 very definitive packs. I think the one on the top of the screen, the fastest moving, and that's led by Leah Boy. The others here on screen now. Moesha Johnson swimming strongly alongside Naomi Caserano. So that will be, you look at that final here, into the final straight. There are so many athletes that are in the mix for this finish, and really anyone could take that top 10 spot.
Yeah, the way it's split out now is so interesting. Everybody kind of trying to fight for their space, but also want clean water, but also want that draft. It's like a weird mix of things, and we ended up with it's going to be like a straight shootout into this finish. Leah Boy again having clear water, having space, having that opportunity, but then moving further back. I mean, this is where you cannot afford to lose any meters or any ground. You need every inch to make sure you're getting your fingers on the pad to qualify for that final.
Yeah, 13 across into the finish arch here. Leah Boy sitting out in front for Germany. There's a host of Italian athletes swimming strongly. Maria Di Valdez sitting in third currently. Moesha Johnson for Australia is starting to move forward. The race will go to Boy, but the race is for 10. Who gets there? Di Valdez through confidently. Oh my goodness. I think that was 3rd to 10th on the line there. That is crazy to see at the end of the semi-final. Those athletes now, their day's not over. That was just to book the next swim, which is crazy to think about. It's so close, and yet we still have 1 lap to come.
Wow. What a finish. That was really wow. There wasn't much space, there wasn't much time, but you had to get your fingers on the pad and you had to make it work. And you can tell by the lack of unofficial results at the moment that we are waiting for the official result before we call anything. I think it's safe to say Leah Boy, Di Valdez safely through, and Lisa Poo and Cesarano Johnson, we're getting some confirmation now, but behind that, it was tight.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we'll get the top 10 officially confirmed yet. We're seeing it on the screen. Cocodano rounding out. That's incredible, Alice. She entered through as, I guess, the extraordinary athlete. The 21st qualifier. For her to potentially make it into the final would be exceptional.
Yes, yeah, that's very exciting. Actually, you're so right. And I think it's about knowing. Yes, I've got another opportunity. Let's take it. Let's run with it. Why can't I make the final? And it's great to see her take that and move with it. So. Tough, hard racing. You can see these women getting out, getting their breath, getting the air, and just thinking, okay, 500 meters. That's all I've got left. That's all that's standing between me and potentially a World Cup medal.
So we wait here for confirmation exactly who will be making it through. Mariah Denigan, one of the athletes that is on the fringe. We've seen her just roll through in 11th position. Travis Brooks, also on the fringe. And what we're seeing there from the sport manager, Ignacy Vendrell, the great man, just saying, don't go anywhere. We're still waiting for confirmation. We're still waiting for the official results. We're still waiting to see the results of those photo finishes and ultimately for the other athletes, Alice, they could be at an advantage here. Cocodano now sitting down in the hands of the trainers. She's very confident that she's moving forward in the race. But that adrenaline boost that you could get from making it through to the final, unexpected or not, could be ultimately, as we saw for Cocodano, quite advantageous.
Yeah, definitely. Taking everything that you can get from these moments, getting that, it's just such good experience as well. Look at this. It's like such it's a condensed, final sprint that we see in the 10K, but then like the opportunity to get a fantastic medal and to have the national anthem played for you, to get some prize money. It's such an exciting event, and it's just so fantastic to see Ana Marcela Cunha in there as well. You've got some real like talent, legacy, and literally sat next to Claudia Tarshevitz, who's like one of our like up and coming stars. It's really, really exciting, and it's going to be such a great final.
And I guess, Alice, this really shifts here in the favor of Ana Marcela Cunha. The 1,000 meters, not necessarily her strength, but 500 meters, especially the way that we saw it finish in Singapore with that final straight. We had about 6 or 7 lead changes. That chaos really features the Brazilian, but for now, she's just soaking it in. She's happy to be here on Golfo Aranci.
I think that's what's so joyous about Ana Marcela Cunha. She's just a staple. She's brilliant. She's always happy to be there. She brings such a great energy. It's fantastic to see her in this final, and you're so right. We saw what she did with the men earlier. She held her own. She's strong. She knows what she's doing. And if you're coming into the finish arc with Ana Marcela Cunha, and you're looking around, and it's a battle for a medal. She's going to be hard to beat. She's going to be very hard to beat. You're going to have to beat her by like raw swimming speed. Battling with her or trying to overcome her in a finish arc is not the way that you're going to go about this.
So I guess, Alice, how do they go about this? Who is the favorite in this race? I think like it's so hard to tell. We've seen such different heats and now into the semifinals, and honestly, Leah Boy looks sensational, but I mean, anything can happen in this final 500.
I'm looking at Leah Boy for this. I'm looking at Leah Boy for the win, I personally think. I just think what I saw in Ibiza, what she just did in that 1,000, she looks good. She's going to feel confident. She's getting out fast in these starting pictures. As you can see, she's out fast. She knows what she's doing. She's confident in her ability to create that clear water for herself, and also her turns. She's in the right place at the right time to make things happen. And now that we're going down to 10 swimmers, she's going to have even more space to let her speed fly. So I am looking to her. I think Marisa Johnson will have a good strong shout if she can find that space and get that opportunity. But I think the raw speed of Leah Boy will be hard to overcome.
It's expert commentary as we've had all season. Looking back at this final here, you can see just the decision there from Delacroix. So upsetting to see what that eventuated as. She really committed to the start of that race and then took the wrong turn and ultimately missed out on the final. It's heartbreaking to have that result. Ultimately, though, as it came through the finish and into the arch, it was Leah Boy leading the way. It was absolutely nothing splitting the top 10. We say that time and time again, but this has really stood true here in that semi-final. We look from third at 1.7 seconds down to 10th was only 1.5 seconds. So expect some fast racing, expect some tight racing, and expect the unexpected here, Alice.
Yes, that is such a good way of putting it. Open water, the tagline is expect the unexpected, and we're going to look for a very fast start from these girls.
So for the final time in season 2025, we head to the arms of the starter, and we're underway. Interesting start there from both Lisa Poo and Ana Marcela Cunha, just taking a second and diving immediately to the inside of the course.
Yes, yeah, it was like Quite, yeah, just that second, just waiting, finding time, wanting to find that space. And I think it's, you know, what we were seeing on those turns in the 1,000. I understand it. I do think you have half of the bodies to deal with, so I don't know if it was worth taking the risk, especially knowing how fast Leah Boy, and you know, you've got Marisha Johnson at the front, two swimmers who can put down some really, really great speed. So it's a bit risky, but let's see if it pays off.
Yeah, I think you know, they're going to be counting on a bit of infighting at the front of the race, and that's going to come down to if they can create some physicality on Leah Boy. She's going to hit that turn in first position. We saw in Ibiza, Alice, Leah Boy just dominated from the start of the final 500 to the end. She does have to contend here with Maria de Valdez, who sits currently on her hip, and if anyone was going to fight in this race, Maria de Valdez is not afraid to get down and dirty. At this stage, Leah Boy now with her own water and looking unbeatable.
She looks so good. She looks strong. She looks smooth. Her stroke rate's not even that high at the moment. You can see that kick coming out, but I just know she can take it to another level. She's looking really strong. And one thing that we do have to say, she is one of the swimmers who didn't have to contend with the relay this time. You know, we do typically see the German team in, but I don't think they have the numbers for the men this time. But look at this, Marisha Johnson finding her own space. And I think this is what she's been trying to do, both in the 15 and in the 1. And she's found her own space, but it looks be really interesting to see who's got the better line here. Everyone's kind of backing Leah Boy at this point. You can see them both looking at each other saying, hey, who's actually got this right? What's going on here? And I don't know if Leah Boy is actually starting to cut over to Marisha Johnson.
Well, they are staring directly into the sun there. Leah Boy choosing to abandon her line here and jump across. This is the bravery that is required in the knockout, Alice. And it's a big decision from Leah Boy to cut across, and an even bigger decision. So we'll see exactly how it plays out. But for now, Leah Boy joins the feet of Marisha Johnson. Johnson was in this position in Singapore where she led into that final straight, ultimately had the pack come down on top of her. But out in front, it is Marisha Johnson going into that turn on the far side of the course. This is very interesting racing, Alice.
Yes, definitely. You know, as we have seen, it's really hard to get past people in those final moments of the race, especially like, you know, finding that space to get onto their hip and then onto the shoulder and get your fingers in front of them for the touchpad first. But it's looking really, really good for Marisha here. She's really taken this to another level, found that opportunity, and Leah Boy has now tucked in behind her. But I don't know if Leah will be able to get past her at this point. We barely, when Marisha's in front like this, we haven't seen anybody really swim past her.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Leah Boy knows what's on the line here. There's still a lot of prize money up for grabs in the 3-kilometer knockout. She's going to need to be clinical. She needs to be on the inside of those feet. And it looks like we've got Lisa Poo here sitting comfortably, I think, in the top 5 for Monaco. She's just off the back, sitting in the slipstream of whoever is in front. We'll get a shot of that shortly. But as we go down to the final turn for the final race of 2025, Alice, what a final straight we have ahead of us.
Yes, this is exactly what we've been like waiting for, been excited for. Leah Boy looking like she's going to have quite a good turn here, you know, utilising every inch that she has available to get around that boy, and then following her, Lisa Poo of Monaco, and that's where it gets very tough and very physical, as we were saying with these turn boys, and it's where it's difficult. You're not helping, like, as much as you want space, you want ground, you need to be able to help each other and get around it. So yeah, it looks really tight and physical at the back in those moments.
Those are the two Cesaranos in the Italian caps. It looks like De Valdez has been dropped into 5th position. There is even a gap opening for 2nd to 3rd. So Leah Boy with one swimmer in her sights, and that is arguably the swimmer of 2025, Marisha Johnson, and Leah Boy. Leah Boy moving now on the inside. That is a precarious position to be. It's much easier to squeeze the swimmer out onto that finishing pontoon from the inside of the course than if Leah Boy was to swim on the outside. But that is the line that they've decided to swim with. Lisa Poo currently sitting in third position. And Alice, it is still anyone's race as they come down with about 150 to swim.
Yes, definitely. You know, you can see Leah really trying to make this move. She doesn't want to just like settle for second. She's going to fight as much as she can. And, you know, if she does find space to get onto Mauritia's hip, Mauritia is kind of snaking, not allowing that door to open, but driving forward. So it's looking really, really good and strong for Mauritia. And then behind her, I think Leah Boy is still fighting, but in fact, I haven't seen those fingertips approaching her hip now. The opportunity is closing fast.
So that is the top of the race. Boy and Johnson racing for gold and silver. Bronze looks like a battle between Tarsowitz and Pooh. Who has the better finish? Leah Boy kicking up onto the hip. Moesha Johnson giving her absolutely nothing. Going very wide, the two just backing themselves in the sprint as they enter the finish chute for the final time in 2025. Moesha Johnson's going to hit the boy there. She doesn't lose any speed. The Australian maintains it, and she's going to come down to claim her maiden knockout title, and she does so in dominant fashion. Didn't expect it, but the gold goes the way of Johnson. Boy gets silver, and Tarsowitz gets bronze for Poland. A fantastic meet for the youngster. But Moesha Johnson take a bow. A fantastic 2025. She's looked unbeatable all year. She was unbeatable in Singapore, and she's delivered here in Golfo Aranci to take another gold medal from these World Cup stops. Bouncing back from the 10K yesterday, 6:24 the time over the line, and ultimately the German once again on the podium is Leah Boy, but it's not on top. That goes the way of the Australian Moesha Johnson.
Yeah, and just it was Shreese. It was Shreese. Oh, that's fantastic. That's I absolutely love that for Caroline Shreese of France. They're getting a fantastic bronze medal. Leah Boy on the podium for the second time this weekend as well. So really, really great racing from all of them. You know, she put up a really good fight. She wasn't going to let Mauritia just have to glide in with that. She kept fighting, kept pushing, and huge congratulations to Mauritia Johnson, bouncing back from what I think was a disappointing race for her yesterday, and continuing to show that she is that woman to beat.
That's right, and you're right there, Alice. Caroline Juice in the bronze medal. Massive apologies for that. Juice beats out Pooh for that bronze, but talk about the versatility of an athlete. Caroline Juice coming all the way down from being a primarily 25-kilometer ultra marathon swimmer to mixing it with the very best in the world in the 3-kilometer knockout, a 500-meter dash at the end. That is the French champion as well. What an athlete Caroline Juice is to round out the podium. What a podium it is to round out the season.
Yes, you're so right. There's such a variety of open water swimming styles on that podium. It's really, really exciting to see. And this is what I keep talking about. I keep talking about a diversity of like body types, of like tactics, and the way of approaching this, the way of training for it. I think this is what's so exciting about open water swimming. There are numerous ways of doing this, and some ways that we don't even know exist yet, and that we will still see them keep coming. They'll keep creeping up, and you know, and then we'll get opportunities to see athletes like Moesha Johnson, and it's so exciting we get to hear from her now.
Fun to watch. What's it like to be a part of?
Yeah, it's quite a dramatic race to race. You really get the adrenaline pumping, but this afternoon the sun's really low, and that was really difficult for all of us. So, as you could see on that straight, the second straight, it was really hard to see where the boy was at all. So I kind of just guessed and went for it.
Yeah, he had a little correction just into the finish area, and that gave Leah Boy a small opportunity. You don't want to give her much of a chance because she's pretty quick over this distance as well.
Yeah, Leah's got an incredible sprint finish, and I knew she was behind me, so I just actually tried to block out the right side so she couldn't, or anyone couldn't come on that side, and then I could control what I could see on the left a bit more.
Excellent. So it's a victory here. It's a 3-kilometer gold medal. But talk to me about your entire year so far. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, it's been an incredible year, and Yeah, yesterday was maybe a little bit of disappointment. I wasn't quite there, but yeah, I can't really complain after the year I've had, and then to have a goal just then as well. And like, this is an incredible location, incredible afternoon, and yeah, you couldn't be happier with it.
Well, you've got an almighty long journey home, but you get a gold medal from Golfo Aranci to take with you. Well done, Marisa Johnson, our race winner here in the 3-kilometre knockout.
Signore e signori, facciamo un applauso
What
per
a performance by Marisa Johnson there, your 3-kilometre knockout champion. Bouncing back, as she said, after a somewhat disappointing 10K to deliver an exceptional result in the knockout, to finish off a great season that has been the way of Johnson and so many others, Alice. We've been here all year round calling the action, and I guess from that, what has been the moment of this weekend here in Golfo Aranci?
Oh, well, that is such a hard question. It's such a hard question to answer. So I think two athletes really spring to mind for me. David Bethlehem, I think, just really has done something special. You know, 2 gold medals, a bronze medal in the relay, and he just has such fight in him. He has such fire. He approaches the event with such grace, but I also love the way he enjoys the fact he wins. It's really, really nice to see. And then also my second one, I think, has to be Claudia Toshevitz. Just seeing the growth of her as an athlete, and you know, it's a name that we have been mentioning, we've been pointing out, and now to see her like get that breakthrough moment and get her first podium on this world stage, it's definitely more to come from her. But I want to throw that question back to you and ask, what has your highlight been?
Oh, thanks for that, Alice. I guess you know me, I'm all about the plot, and the plot delivered this week. The first individual gold medal for Italy, Ginevra Taraducci, doing it in a fashion that was absolutely required to take the overall title, to take her first World Cup victory as well for 2025. You can't ask for a better result, and I love that she stood up in front of the crowd after the race and took a bow, because it was absolutely deserved. And I know like 2025 has been massive for so many athletes, and Ginevra Taraducci is one of those athletes that we'll remember this year fondly. So have some great shots here, as well as our athletes are just making their way over to the medal presentation area, which we'll be heading to shortly. But can't help but reminisce of the year that has been, Alice, and I guess asking these sweeping questions about highlights will continue that form. And what has been the moment of the year for you?
Okay, so always really difficult, as we said, but I think just going back through the results and I love this. Anna Marcela Cunha there. It was also really nice to see as well. Claudia Toshevitz getting a picture with Cunha. It's just, she is a legend. She's an absolute legend of the sport, and always really great to see her enjoying every moment that she gets to race and to compete and to wear that Brazilian cap. But back to your question, Will. After going through the results, I think just Kajimoto winning the 3K knockout in Setubal was just so special. It was the first time we have seen a Japanese athlete on top of the podium at a World Cup, and hearing the Japanese national anthem, and then what that preluded in terms of getting her to that gold medal, that fantastic gold medal at Singapore. I feel like it just set up the whole storyline, as we keep talking about, so beautifully. So I think that is going to be my standout moment for the season. But I mean, how many hours of open water swimming have we watched? And then to boil it all down to one moment is really challenging. But well, again, I'm going to throw it right back to you. What was your highlight?
No, I appreciate the question, Alice. I think, I mean, all the hours honestly compels into my answer here, which is the introduction of the athlete experience, where as an open water fan, we have been truly blessed to see the best of the best take to the water in every World Cup stop, culminating, of course, in the World Championships and here again in Golfo Aranci. So I know we look to do again in 2026 that athlete experience, and that for me is the moment of the year. But for now, what a finish, the knockout sprint delivering the perfect finale to an unforgettable season of open water racing. Before we head to the medal presentations, a moment to say thank you to World Aquatics for their continued commitment to this series and to every local organising committee, official and volunteer who've made each stop possible, from Soma Bay to Setúbal, Singapore and now Sardinia. To the athletes and coaches, thank you for racing, the resilience and the stories you've given us all year. And to the fans around the world in the stands and following on from home, your passion is what drives this sport forward. On behalf of my co-commentator, Alice Steering, and the entire broadcast team, thank you for being part of the 2025 World Aquatics Open Water World Cup. Stay with us. The medal ceremony is coming up next.
So Singapore's World Championship, you've got lots of medalists from that event right here. Per concludere questa ultima prova della World Cup. Vediamo le atlete nel gruppo di testa della finale sui 500 metri della 3 km. Pubblico di Golfo Aranci, facciamoci sentire. Richard Johnson it is racing. Australia, le a voi Germania. Carolina is the silver medal that she won in Setúbal in Portugal earlier in the season as well. But it's a bronze in Singapore. Signore e signori, accogliamo con l'applauso di Golfo Aranci la premiazione della 3 km knockout sprint maschile.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal ceremony for the men's 3 kilometers knockout
So we
sprint
stay
final.
here in Golfo Aranci. Appreciate your patience as we head back to the medal presentation, this time for the 3 kilometer knockout for the men's. And Alice, you can't imagine a better way to finish the series with the incredible sunset we're having here on the Sardinian coast of Golfo Aranci, and highlighting some exceptional athletes that have been that way all season long.
Yes, definitely. You know, I was thinking one thing, like it's the sun is setting and the sun is setting on the World Cup series this season. So we've been truly fortunate to have some amazing, amazing swims, some amazing locations, some beautiful locations, and athletes that have really showed up and put on a show for us. So I'm so grateful for all of it. And finishing off with the event that was introduced for the first time this season. We've had 4 fantastic instances of it, and long may it continue.
Absolutely. Long may it continue. A poetic setting here. Logan Fontaine, the World Cup champion for 2025, the bronze medalist in the 3 kilometer knockout, the World Cup champion for 2024 in silver, Marc-Antoine Olivier, and the unequivocal shooting star of 2025, set to stand on top of the podium, David Bethlehem of Hungary. This is exceptional. It's, yeah, like I said, I'm all for the plot, and this plot is dense.
Yeah, just thinking over about the men's 3K knockout, we have only ever seen 5 different people be on the podium. Please correct me if I've got my maths wrong, but the 3 men that you see stood in front of us, and then we add to that Florian Rollbach and Oliver Clement. Each podium has always consisted of David Bethlehem and Marc-Antoine Olivier. Marc-Antoine has always been in 3rd position, and then 1st and 2nd has kind of jostled with David Bethlehem plus somebody else. So, Marc-Antoine is 2nd here, of course. So, but anyway, we're just pointing out this is such an exciting event, and it's been dominated by 5 men at the moment. At the top of the podium is David Bethlehem. It's such a well-deserved and such a hard-won weekend from him. So huge congratulations to all of our medalists, and we're now going to hear the national anthem of Hungary.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for your medal winner.
Signore e signori, l'applauso di Golfo Aranci per gli atleti sul podio della 3 km knockout sprint
What a podium
maschile.
it is. As we said, they celebrate the sparkles, this incredible sunset on the Sardinian coastline. Golfo Aranci, for the 3rd year, has absolutely delivered, Alice.
It certainly has, and the athletes have risen to the occasion. They've given us drama, they've given us some upsets, but the fun thing about open water swimming is there's always more opportunity to get in. And as we've seen that with the 3K knockout, it has been so special that we get to celebrate that and congratulate our amazing athletes on what was a really, really hard day of racing.
one of the hardest that we've seen on the program thus far, and I'm sure they'll be very happy to finish off the racing for season 2025 and move on to what's next. What next is ahead in 2026. For now, some hard, tough training to come through the winter months of the European or the Northern Hemisphere climate. For the Southern Hemisphere, we actually expect them to move into the racing season itself. The Australian Cup, I believe, taking to the water over the coming weeks. I'm sure Moesha Johnson will have an eye on that one, but it's all eyes on the program for 2026. That World Cup season drop is going to be also exciting, and we hope to see Golfo Aranci back once again.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Well, you're flexing on us with your Southern Hemisphere summer, which I'm very jealous of as I look at the grey skies in England at the moment. But yeah, great shout out to the Australian Cup there, and really exciting to see that that's been put on. Some great opportunities to get in some warm weather racing in the darker months that Europe has to deal with that are up and coming. So it'd be great to keep your eyes on that, and hopefully see some of our favourites on the World Aquatics Open Water Swimming World Cup showing up for that and putting on some good shows out in Australia.
Alice Shaw is welcome down to witness the Southern Hemisphere summer. I'm sure we'll open our arms to anyone that wants to come and race in Australia over the coming months, and I'm sure the Australian team will be echoing those sentiments as they're all staying up and watching what an incredible race it was from Moesha Johnson, who we're about to welcome out onto the podium for the final time in 2025. We do want to pay our respects to the delegates that have represented both World Aquatics and the local organising committee and partners involved in running each and every event. But for now, we turn our attention to the podium, and again, Alice is such a star-studded podium. The bronze medal going the way of Caroline Swiss, the silver going to Leah Boy, and Moesha Johnson on top of the podium for the final time in 2025.
Yes, yeah, what an amazing podium to round it out with. You know, Leah Boy was that athlete in 2024 that I really feel like had her breakthrough moments in terms of getting onto these podiums, knowing what it's like to get in and make that happen for herself. Caroline Swiss also backing up an amazing swim that she had in Setchable in this race, where she also came second there. And then Moesha Johnson, just the dominance that she has displayed across the year. She has really, really cemented herself in the history books as, you know, such a special and strong athlete. So fantastic that we get to celebrate her one more time before we're closing out the year for the World Aquatics Open Water Swimming World Cup. But very, very exciting, and great that we've been able to call all of this action together. Well, it's been a pleasure.
A pleasure as always to be the custodians of the commentary, alongside, of course, one of the greats of the sport, Alice Deering, and we will be joining all the spectators around the world as we get ready to see what is dropped for the 2026 season. We're very excited for that. For now, though, we pay our respects to the national
che vostro vi chiediamo di
Australia's
alzarvi per celebrare la vincitrice ascoltando l'inno nazionale australiano. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you are able for the national anthem of Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for your
side from
winner.
season 2025.
Signore
Moesha
e
Johnson
signori, l'applauso
stands
di
atop
Golfo
of
Aranci
the
alla vedete sul
podium.
podio.
Alice,
del
it's
3
been
chilometri
an
knockout
incredible
sprint.
season
Fammi
from
vedere.
start to finish. Any final thoughts as we wrap up 2025?
Yeah, my final thoughts. Been an amazing season. We've seen some breakthrough swims. We've seen some just like game-changing moments with, Marisha Johnson coming in there. Some amazing moments with Florin Walbrock as well. David Beckham. My list could keep growing. But I think my takeaway from the season is be adaptable, be ready to change, and be open to trying something new because the sport keeps moving forward. We keep getting surprises. We keep getting shocks. And that's what's so brilliant about the sport is ever evolving, and the athletes have to keep moving with it. And the same with us as fans and as uh, ambassadors of the sport, if you will. We'll keep growing with it and we'll keep shouting about it wherever we can.
Thanks very much for that, Alice. That brings the curtain down on a spectacular weekend here in Golfo Aranci and on the 2025 World Aquatics Open Water World Cup season. Congratulations once again to all our champions, and thank you to everyone who's been a part of this journey. For my co-commentator, Alice and the entire World Aquatics team, I'm Will Rollo. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next year on the start line.
Foto di gruppo finale dopo quelli della giuria, dopo quella della giuria che ringraziamo. Ringraziamo tutti voi per questa edizione 2025 della Coppa del Mondo Golfo Aranci. È tutto. Noi vi salutiamo con questo bellissimo tramonto sullo sfondo e vi diamo sicuramente appuntamento alla stagione prossima e al prossimo appuntamento qui in Sardegna con il grande nuoto in acquilibrio. Grazie a tutti, buona cena e un buon proseguimento di